Thank you. Did you see I scooted out for a quick sec there? I have, I have two kids, 9 and 13, and we had to do the bargaining this morning of, like how are you guys going to keep quiet? Dad's gone off fishing, and we bargained, clean your room first, and then you can watch Netflix. And I could tell that they both just finished cleaning their rooms because all of a sudden my screen starts getting, pausy and pixely. I'm like, that wasn't the right thing to bargain on a day when I'm going to do a webinar, is to let them use the internet. So, oh man, real life stuff, eh? Oh wow. I'm really happy to be here with you. I am such a social person, and just feeling connected to other human beings, even if it's in this like bizarre world of staring at screens, just honestly, I just fills my heart right up. I find these days I'm even trying to make like deep personal connections with like the checkout people at the grocery store. There's no more like, oh, nice weather. I'm like, tell me about your soul. Like just want to feel connected so badly. So I'm thrilled to see some new faces. Being with people to me is like breathing. So this is really great. I'd like to give you a rundown of kind of my plan for the session today, so that you have an idea of where we're going and where we're going to end up. I'd like to start with a little game. I don't know if anybody remembers back in like middle school playing Two Truths and a Lie. Does anybody know that game? I'll let you know a little bit about me. And then I want to know a bit about why you're here. What attracted you to do the session? I will tell you a little story. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the talk. No pun intended, but we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about what this means to cleanse yourself, to cleanse your life. I think that a lot of times when people think about cleansing, they think about, okay, what more kale and quinoa, right? And being really restrictive, okay, like no sugar, no wine, that's what cleansing is. And I take a fairly different spin on what it means to cleanse your life or to cleanse yourself. And it's gentle. And everything that I do with my clients has to be about sustainability. So we're going to talk about things in that context. We're going to talk about the mindset. We're going to talk about the three big ones when it comes to your body and your life being able to be cleansed, and that's sleeping, pooping, and being hydrated. So I hope you're okay if we talk about poop, because I kind of talk about poop for a living, so I'm totally comfortable with it. And then I'd like to finish that part by just talking about some of the myths surrounding the idea of carbs. It seems to be such a huge topic, right? People saying, oh, just cut out carbs. I'd like to just dispel some myths about that and gain some clarity about that with you. Finally, I would like to leave you with two guiding questions that I hope kind of bounce around in your head after we leave here today together, and maybe in the following weeks and months, to help to give you some clear direction on how to maybe begin incorporating some of the things that we're going to be talking about. And then finally, we can end with some time, an opportunity for some Q&A if you're interested. So we'll begin with the little game, the Two Truths and a Lie. So I'm going to tell you three facts, right? And you choose which one you think is my lie. So fact number one, I once willingly ran off the edge of a cliff. Fact number two, my favorite food is marshmallows. And fact number three, I've never had a cup of coffee. So do you all have access to the chat? It's right on the bottom of your screen. There's like a little bubble, a little, what do they call that? A little voice bubble. Okay, so some of the answers are coming in, what people are guessing. Marshmallow, cliff. The lie is the marshmallows. Amazing. Absolutely, you are correct. Most people said the marshmallow. That's true. Pancakes are my favorite meal. My favorite food is pancakes. But I'm going to tell you something. Marshmallow is like really close second. I remember I was pregnant and with my daughter, and I was walking through the aisles of the grocery store, and I kind of stopped, and it was almost like animalistic, and I was like, what is that smell? I need that. And I was like walking through the aisles sniffing, and it was one of those big like baskets that sits at the back of the grocery store. You know, sometimes they just like bundle things, and there were marshmallows were on sale, and I could smell those from like 2 aisles away. I would sleep on a bed of marshmallows if I could. Living up in Muskoka, where we do a lot of campfires and s'mores and roasting marshmallows. But my very favorite food is pancakes. And every Sunday morning, I make pancakes for my family. And I've created a recipe that I want to share with you. I'm just going to pop it in the chat. Yeah, let's see if that works there. Just maybe just give me a thumbs up if you see that recipe coming up in your chat. It's a PDF, and you can download that. And right on. Okay, cool. So starting my day with anything that's just carby, right? Like, so cereal, bread, just fruit, anything like that. Within about half an hour, I'm shaky. I get dizzy, I get lightheaded, I get hangry. I really need to start my day with something that has more fat and protein. That's my genetics. My mom's the same way. Her dad was the same way. And so I created this recipe to let me have my very favorite food, pancakes, but I feel satiated for like 3 hours afterwards. So this is my time of year. I do a lot of gardening, so I love being able to get out and garden and not have to be interrupted by having to come in and have another snack. So that's a little something for you. I did run off the edge of a mountain. I lived in Switzerland for a little while in my 20s, and I went paragliding. So this is parasailing with a parachute. It was a tandem flight, but I had to get the nerve up to run down the mountainside and then right off the edge, and then the guy had the parachute and pulled it up, and anyway, that was incredible. And yeah, I was in my teen years and thought I would be a hotshot and try my mother or my stepmother's coffee. We were at Second Cup in Hamilton, and I took a sip of it, and it's like it went into my sinuses, and I was choking and coughing, and it just created a massive aversion, and I've never tried coffee since. I have never had a cup of coffee, so that's something unique about me. But I do, this is green tea. This is my rocket fuel. So this is what keeps me going all day. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario. I grew up in the Big Smoke. I grew up with eating, Fruit Loops for breakfast and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch and meat and potatoes for dinner, and always something after dinner, like a butter tart or Rice Krispie squares, something like that. And I didn't know anything about healthy eating until I was in my 20s. And when I started to dabble in that world, it was life-changing how much it impacted how I felt. So it became a bit of a hobby. And not until I was in my 30s, I realized, I could make my hobby my profession. So for 16 years, I was a dental hygienist. And after I graduated from dental hygiene school, I worked in nights, and I funded my way through university, and I studied health sciences at Western University. And then I moved to Switzerland, and I worked as a dental hygienist there for a while, came back, met my husband 2 days later, and we moved up to Muskoka, and now have 2 children. And when they were really young is when I decided, you know what, I need to pursue what really feels like me more. I don't know, for those of you who may have children, it can be a very disorienting time after getting, becoming a professional and then getting married and then having kids. And I really felt like I lost myself in that process. So going back to school to do something that just really filled me up was an amazing first step to, what I call kind of cleansing my life of otherwise just living under the expectations of what I had for myself and what other people had for me. Last year I turned 40 and my husband asked me, "Hey, so what do you want to do for your 40th?" And I said, "I want to go back to Switzerland." And he paused for a couple of minutes, and after pondering, he said, "Yeah, I think we can do that." And I said, "No, honey, I want to go back to Switzerland, just me." And I made that happen and really reconnected with myself, and have been on this incredible journey since then, really establishing what it is that I want to do to help lift others, feel really great, mind, body, and spirit type of thing. And so, I hope that we can make some movement in that direction for you. So that's about me. I'd like to hear if you are comfortable just maybe putting a couple words in the chat. What motivated you to be here? What's going on for you? What are the things that you're struggling with or would like to move toward, or you have going on? Mm. Hmm. So thank you. I like my mug too. My mother gave that to me. Thank you. That's my mom mug. That's my comfort mug. Um, yeah, stress. Boy, yeah, big time, right? And like a new variety of stress. It's like there's these variants of COVID. I feel like there's new variants of stress that have come out that we are just, not equipped to deal with. We don't know how. It's very disorienting. Um, yeah, just building on already, reestablishing health in your journey. But I think that there's a lot of us who have had just, if you can pardon my French for a moment, like a year that sort of kicked the shit out of us. And it's intimidating to know where to get started. So I think that the timing of this virtual summit is great for a lot of us, because it's kind of a gentle introduction to picking and choosing what might feel in alignment for where we want to start. Yeah. Oh yeah. Gaining weight this past year, yo-yoing, right? And just, yeah, getting wrapped up in a diet culture, right? These fads. I'm really glad that somebody mentioned about the diet culture and the fads, because again, I'd like to reiterate, everything that I do with my clients has to be about it being sustainable long-term. My personality, I tend to be a bit of an extremist. I really like to go hardcore. Like if I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go for like a 10K run, if I'm going to, start eating healthier, it's going to be like just kale and quinoa and, 3 liters of water a day and it's, Al, I have to, it's one of these lessons, right, that the universe keeps teaching me over and over and over again. Gentle is sustainable, and not everything has to happen today. And that's part of the mindset that we're going to be talking about. Yeah, stress eating. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand. That's stress, boy. Yeah. Thank you for telling me why you're here. I want to tell you one of the big reasons why I'm here, and I've already mentioned it. I love connecting with people, but hearing my own message is really important for me. I love speaking to you because it reminds me to walk the talk. I'm not great at it. Like I can teach this stuff till the cows come home, but following my own darn advice, it's so important for me to continuously reiterate the message that I believe in my heart, so that it helps me to stay more aligned. I'll tell you the things that I really struggle with. No matter how much I know about the importance of healthy eating and exercise and, taking me time and stress management and how great yoga feels, when I am stressed, nothing is more appealing than some sugar and some wine. It is so effective. I don't want to joke you and try to convince you like, oh, you'll feel better if you have kale and quinoa. Yeah, maybe in the long run, but right away, if I'm freaking out, and my kids are like here and I'm like, the phone is going and there's 12 emails, I'm like, everybody just wait a minute, and I will open the pantry door and I will take a handful of chocolate chips and I will take a handful of raisins and I will put them in my mouth and start chewing, because I won't buy Glossette raisins because that's dangerous for me in my house, but I know how to make them in my mouth, right? And immediately that dopamine hit, it is very effective, right? So I'm with you in that struggle. I understand. Another thing that makes me love doing these talks is to hear my own message, is because I get really intimidated to start something new because I don't believe that I can keep it up. Right. And, there are times when you kind of hit this low, and I have a feeling a lot of us are in this type of low right now where we're like, oh my God, like 14, what has it been, like 15, 16 months? I don't know. Something has to give now. It's time. It's time to get my feet back on, on the ground. It's time, enough with this, binge watching Netflix and, a bottle of wine every night, or, the bag of Doritos every second, whatever. It's like, okay, it's time now. But that is so intimidating, and we don't get started because I'm like, oh, but what if I hear that bad news on the radio again? Or, what if somebody else tells me, A, B, and C is, I don't think I can keep this up. So we don't get started. It's intimidating. And the other reason I like to hear my own message is because of the extreme part of my personality, right? I will toggle between, the kale and quinoa and going, well, I should have some balance in my life. And I'll end up eating a whole bag of like ketchup chips while I'm making the kale and quinoa for my family for their dinner, and then by the time I sit down to eat this dinner, I'm like, oh, I'm not really hungry anymore. It's just these extremes. I want it to be gentle. That makes it sustainable. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and I hope that it helps you feel good about the fact that you're already here. I was on a bus once. Anybody in Toronto? Nobody's in, yeah, Toronto. Oh yeah, a lot of people in Toronto. I was on a bus once on my way to the start line of the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. And my husband was going to run a half marathon, and I was going from the parking lot to the start line. And so I was sitting on this bus, and I was watching the athletes come onto this bus, and I was like, oh man, these like tight-bodied athletes and their little signets and their little shorts and their pennies, right? And I'm like, oh wow, this is an honor to be on this bus with these like amazing athletes. And then a man came onto the bus, and he was really struggling to even get up the steps, and he had to kind of pull himself up using the handrail, because he was so large. And I thought, oh, somebody coming on just to to watch the athletes like me, coming to spectate, probably a loved one is in the race or something. But he turned the corner to walk up the aisle toward me, and I saw he was wearing a racing bib. And it didn't compute in my head. I was incredulous, like how, what a contrast to all these athletes. This guy has a racing bib, and I'm trying to make sense of this in my head. And he actually ended up sitting down in front of me, in the seat in front of me on the bus, and he was wearing a ball cap. And I saw what was embroidered on the back of his hat. It said, "The courage to start somewhere." Oh, right. We're all in a different place in our journey, but you being here right now means that you have the courage to start somewhere. And whether that's just trying to take that first step to get yourself out of the funk you've been in for the last year, or whether it's you want to add one more thing to your already, fairly healthy life, or whether you just feel like you want to rub shoulders with some people who, you've told yourself in your mind maybe have their shit together more than you do. Whatever, you have the courage to start somewhere, and that's you being here right now. So feel good about that already. I want to continue with the the theme of two truths and a lie because I think it's really immature, and immature things make me feel like it's fun. So um, the topics that I want to touch on, I'm going to break them down into two truths and a lie. So truth number one is, if it's going to be sustainable long term, what it is that you choose to do to cleanse yourself has to be about progress, not perfection. When we expect things to be perfect, we are setting ourselves up for, what I hear a lot and what I experience a lot is going really hard, not being able to keep it up, and then living in a perpetual state of feeling like we failed. Just type in the chat, have you done things repeatedly in your life, like tried a new diet or tried a new exercise program or whatever, and haven't been able to keep it up? I'm getting a lot of little nods. Yeah. 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 Just this month, and for more years than I'd like to admit. Yeah. You're not alone. Um, in my business, I've made a fairly fun pivot for myself. And it's one of these things. I mean, COVID has been devastating in so many ways, but I have to admit that there have been what I call COVID positives that have come. And one of the things is pivoting to focus my practice on high level self pressure women. And I had to choose a new logo for this component of my business, and I was stuck with it for a while, but finally I found something that really made a lot of sense. And it's a theme I talk a lot to my clients about, and it's called the upward spiral. So my new logo, if you follow me later, you'll see is an upward spiral like this. When we're thinking about integrating new habits, new choices, the way to make this sustainable is to imagine your journey as being an upward spiral. So let's say this is you in the last month, right? Like going, oh my word, like I feel awful. I'm exhausted all the time. I've developed some really bad habits to soothe myself or to numb myself, whether that be, binge watching Netflix or, alcohol or sugar. Some people out there said, no, for me, it's salty, fatty fix that helps. So chips and, oh man, crackers and salty things are amazing too. I love all of it. I am, supposed to be this amazing holistic nutritionist. Trust me. I love candy. I love all the bad stuff too. I don't like the way it makes me feel, but I do appreciate it. Anyway, maybe this is where you are right now. So maybe tomorrow morning somebody starts their morning by making that new pancake recipe that I gave to you, right? And so you feel like, oh, I've kind of moved up a little bit. That's really cool. And I feel a little bit better. Maybe you notice that, by mid-morning, you're not having that sugar craving because you feel satiated and you feel energetic enough to go for a walk. Maybe you haven't gone for a walk in a number of months. And so you're feeling really high about that. But maybe your mother calls you later in the afternoon and gets on your nerves. She's not listening right now, so anyway. And maybe you get off the phone and you're like, oh, and you just, you hit the Tim's drive-through and grab a Boston cream. I don't know. And then you have a sugar crash and you feel awful. And then you're down here feeling bad about yourself going, today was supposed to be my day that I started something new and I started feeling really good, but look how low I feel. I want you to really recognize where the low is compared to where you started. Okay. You've learned something new. You proved to yourself how you can feel. You can't take back that walk that you went for, that improved your health. You can't, that's forward movement. Okay. We're going to slip up. We're going to trip up. Stress will always be there. And we will likely always respond with some unhealthy response. But we know how to pick ourselves back up. You've permanently learned a new recipe, and maybe you feel a little more motivated. Well, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day again. I'm gonna bring out those recipe books from the top of the pantry, and I'm gonna break open my, what is that cute girl I like? Oh, She Glows cookbook. If you've ever heard of that, that's one of my favorite really healthy cookbooks, right? Maybe you try a new recipe that you haven't tried before, right? We're gonna keep moving on this trajectory, this upward spiral. I think lately a lot of us have been feeling like we've been on a bit of a downward spiral. So we have to think about our movement away from that as progress, not perfection. We're not going straight up. That's not sustainable long term, right? Because the stressors are going to keep coming. They're going to always be there. So when we use that mindset, that helps us to stay motivated and to be a little bit more gentle with ourselves about continuing on the direction that we want to go. Progress is better than perfection. The next truth. If you are not sleeping, pooping, or hydrated, nothing in your body can work properly. Okay? Sleeping, pooping, and hydrated. So if we want to talk about, cleansing yourself, these are going to be the really nitty-gritty, detailed, tangible things to work on, right? It's important to have the mindset, because that's going to be the foundation for us to be able to make good choices moving forward. But these are the 3 things to focus on if you're looking at making positive change for your health. Sleeping is the problem. Well, that's where I'm going to talk about first, okay? There seem to be three camps of poor sleepers: those who can't fall asleep, those who can't stay asleep, and then those who experience both. That's really tough. Why is this happening? Research shows us that this is happening more now than ever before in history. Okay, one big problem is our screens. These guys, right, our screens. I want to talk about, I'm gonna tell you one little thing first before we talk about screens. What we consume at night before bed can have a big impact on what happens to our bodies. So I have very consistently, happily committed myself to herbal tea before bed. Why? Because I want something to hold, because I want something to put in my mouth that feels gratifying, and I don't want it to be the chips, okay? Or the wine, right? When we have things that contain, I hate the word calories, I honestly do. They've got such a bad rap. Calories means energy. That's what that means. Like, we need calories from food. Calories, that's what makes us be able to move, right? But if we are consuming energy-rich things right before we want to sleep at night, our body is going, okay, I've got energy now, let's go, right? So we have our bowl of chips and our glass of wine, and that's given us all this energy. And then we're like, okay, time to shut her down. We lay down in bed, and it's like the body is like, no, I'm not ready for bed. I keep moving, right? We're not going to be able to sleep. We want to fuel forward. We don't want to give ourselves, fill the gas tank and then say we're going to shut her down. I don't ever want to tell people you shouldn't. That doesn't work. You don't make friends that way. If I say you shouldn't eat before bed, I want to educate you. I want to give you a concept and a mindset, right? Why would I put fuel into my body right before I want to shut it down? That's not going to support sleep. Yeah. I'm going to give you a little tidbit, and this is not about weight or weight loss, but a number of you have mentioned, I've gained 30 pounds in this last year because of stupid COVID. When we eat or consume energy, calories, right, before bed, and we lay in bed, and finally our body gives up and goes, you're not going to use this energy. What happens to that energy? It gets stored. Kathy, I think you said that, eh? It gets stored, right? Yeah. What is energy storage on the body? What? Yeah. The body goes, oh, you don't need me? Okay, I'll store this energy for you for later. It has to go somewhere. Overnight, it gets stored on your liver. It converts the blood glucose. I'm going to get nerdy on you here. I love this stuff, right? You're going to convert your blood glucose into glycogen, liver glycogen, and it gets stored on your liver, this extra energy. And then in the morning, you get up and you run a half marathon, right? No, that's not what you're doing these days. Okay. So then the body goes, oh, you still don't need me? Because I'll be here in the morning if you want me, and I can convert fairly easily back into blood glucose if you get up first thing in the morning, you haven't eaten anything yet, and you go for, do your exercise. No? Okay. So now I have to convert into long-term storage, and that's body fat. Boogers, right? Much more difficult to use stored energy than blood glucose, which is readily available energy. That was a totally nerdy aside, but you have to forgive me. Like, I love this stuff so much. And you mentioned it, so I thought I would tell you. Okay. So my go-tos at night are treat herbal teas. Chocolate chai, PC, President's Choice brand at the Loblaws chains, right? For Tina's, Loblaw, Canadian Super. Anyway, anybody who carries PC, they have one called chocolate chai. That is my go-to. That is my absolute treat tea for night. Fruity teas, right? If you guys down in Toronto have access to like the Davids and the Tivana and all these, I have a whole library of herbal teas, and that is my go-to at night. There's no caffeine and there's no energy, but it still feels like a treat. Yeah. It's a little tip, a little trick. The next thing is light. So screens emit light, they're backlit, right? If you have a Kobo or a Kindle, most of those are actually lit over the front of the screen and are not backlit, just as an FYI. So reading from one of those is usually safe, but most of us have turned to, iPads or smartphones, or we're on our computers, we're doing work late into the evening, so we don't have boundaries around what is work time and what is home time anymore. I don't know, we didn't have training for this. We're all just doing our best. But the light that is being emitted from screens, whether that be your phone, your TV, your computer, is signaling to the brain it is daytime. Have you heard of people taking melatonin to help sleep? Oh, it's natural, it's just like it's a sleep hormone, that's fine. Great. Your brain is supposed to produce that. But your brain is not producing that when it's getting the signal from your screens. It's still daytime. The recommendation is 2 hours before bed to avoid all backlit screens. So everybody's jaw dropping. 2 hours? What? That's extreme. How would, right? No. Is it bad to take melatonin? I wouldn't say that it's bad to take melatonin. There are times when I'm like fully ramped up and I will use melatonin myself. Best to talk to your healthcare practitioner if it's a good idea for you. But I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is, if we're going to support our bodies to function optimally, we don't want to rely on exogenous sources of things, sleeping pills and sprays and all these kinds of things to help us, when our body, if we work with it, can do this for us. At night, at home, I turn off all the overhead lights. I use just some lamps, ambient lighting. I keep it calm, like my kids know. It's calm time, right? Quiet it down. Lights are low, and I avoid screens most of the time, unless I'm, got off that call with my mom who rubbed me the wrong way and I have to numb with some Netflix. Don't judge, it's fine. Number 3 checklist. And I'm going to pop this in the chat right now because I created this little PDF for you too, so that you can follow along, or you can print it out as a review about healthy sleep later, is to have your evenings be calm. And again, it's really difficult when we don't have routine like we had pre-COVID, right? We're all trying to navigate our way through all the changes that have been kind of inflicted upon us, that we're trying to adapt to. It oftentimes feels like in the evening, after the dinner dishes are done and okay, everything's done, it's like, now is my catch up time, right? I can catch up on the emails that I was supposed to send, do the phone calls, or, catch up, and it can get a little bit chaotic. And then we go, oh, shoot, how did it get to be 11:30? Okay, shut it down, body. You know, your brain is still on fire. It's, you know, all those little neurons are firing like crazy. Even if you think, you know, oh no, putting my feet up and watching my show, or maybe flicking on the news or something like that, or just scrolling through my phone, even if we're not talking about the light it's emitting, think about what your eyes are doing, right? Your eyes are kind of darting around the screen like this, or scrolling, right? Input, input, input. And then we expect the brain just to shut it down. We need to be more gentle. We need to give our body time to transition and to get the signals. We're getting ready for rest. I'm not going to put energy in. I'm not going to have the sunshine, right? Our body interprets those bright lights as the sun. We're going to turn the sunshine down. We're not going to give you energy that you're going to need to expend. We're going to start calming things down. So just having an awareness of slowing it down for your brain and for your body can help you to sleep better. Number 4 is ritual. What is your sleep time ritual? What is your nighttime ritual, right? Think about the things that you do right before bed. Maybe think about tweaking that routine a little to really be in alignment with what you know works well for you to get you calm, whether that be, oh, I have a bath with some, you know, lavender essential oil. When I do that, you know, I always sleep well when I have, great. If you're not sleeping well and you know that helps, make that part of your nightly ritual. Be intentional about it. If you know that, you sleep well on the nights that you do a nice face care routine, and you do a little bit of self-touch, and you use your nice oils or, face creams or whatever. Oh yeah, I always sleep well when I kind of take care of myself that way. Or I sleep best when I wear, the cotton t-shirt or what. Just think about the things that really do help you move toward a good sleep, and make that a sleep ritual. Your body loves routine. It loves anticipating, right? These are the signals that mean I'm getting ready for good sleep. I'll read 3 pages of a book, and not a book for work, right? Just, some kind of entertaining smut or whatever, right? But just that will signal to the brain and to the body, right? These are the things that I do when I'm getting ready for rest, when I get ready for sleep. And the last thing is to clear your mind. Does anybody ruminate about things that happened in the day, and then that helps, or that prevents you from falling asleep? So like, when that client called and said this to me, you know what I should have said? I should have said this instead. No, it would have been really good if I said this. You know what? Maybe I'm going to call them back. And, oh my gosh, it seems like when I can't sleep, current day and stressing about the next day often, right? And we're thinking, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow? Okay, list A, B, C. No, if I go to the grocery store, no, don't, I have to get gas. Okay, don't forget. Oh my word, right? It seems like when it's time to sleep, anything that's ever bothered me and anything I ever will have to ever do comes to mind. And it overloads. This is not conducive to rest. This is not conducive to sleep. And then we get frustrated. And then we start judging ourselves for not being able to sleep, right? And then we think, well, screw it, I might as well get up. If you have, you know what? At any given time, I have usually about 4. I literally have 4 notebooks right now within arm's reach of me. I have notebooks peppered all over my home. If there is something on my mind and I'm trying to focus on one other thing, what we're talking about, namely sleep, just write it down. A lot of us tend to be perfectionists. People who are usually attracted to wellness summits kind of tend to fall in that category. It's just an idea. And we don't write in journals or keep, diaries or no, because we think we have to go, okay, well, now I have to write the date in pretty cursive. And then I have to start with dear diary. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about just scribble out You know, Candace on the phone was rude to me today. It's left me fired up. Close the book, put it away. Get gas before groceries. It is out of my brain. I can let this go now. Clearing your brain of all the things that are jumbling in there by just writing them out. You know, we talk about journaling and it seems to be a real buzzword. Don't you find like, oh, you really should journal. Journaling is so important. You should really do journaling. It's like everything. People resist this big should because of the idea that they have what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to do a, you know, a full, beautiful account of, you know, of your day. And this, it's not like the old diary entries. I'm talking about just write shit out, just like get it out, just get it out of your head. That really helps to support a calm mind, and then you can let it go because it's out, it's still there. You don't have to fully let it go. You can rely on the fact that it's still there, but it's not in you plaguing your brain anymore. So those are five tips to sleep. And if you can't access the PDF in the chat, it will be, I think Michelle's just said it will still be on the my page later. We'll find you. Meditation. Oh, beautiful. Way to go to who is doing meditation before bed every night, calming you down. And gratitude, absolutely. Gratitude, you know, it doesn't have to be all the bad stuff that gets thrown into that book. I just find that for me personally, and I got a lot of nods when I said, you know, do you ruminate about things, you know, to get the yucky things out, but to write down, you know, 3 quick, simple things that you're grateful for, not in perfect sentence form. And you don't have to worry about spelling and cursive and beautiful, whatever. But just an act, just a moment like that. It's a really good idea. Thank you for that contribution. Poop. There is no like really nice way to segue into talking about poop. So I'm just going to go straight there. There is an important difference between what we call normal and what we call common. We tend to use in English those words interchangeably, common and normal, but it's not the same thing. Common is to poop a couple of times a week. Common, what people would think common healthy is, you know, once a day, pooping, usually maybe after breakfast or something like that. But then there's normal. And when I talk about normal, what I mean is like humans as a species, right? Like as the human animal, what is normal is to have a full, I'm sorry that you're never going to be able to forget me saying this, but foot-long floater 2 to 3 times a day. That's not common. But that's what's normal. That's what's healthy. That is a way that our body cleanses itself of internal toxins. One of the reasons we don't feel good is because we're backed up and we continuously reabsorb the toxins that our body is meant to expel. Yeah. How do we get closer to normal than common? The next thing we're going to talk about is hydration. So hydration is lubrication for the bulk of the stool that needs to be passing through. So if we are not optimally hydrated and our stools are hard and dry, they don't pass through easily. So hydration is extremely important for having normal bowel movement habits. And then we talk about fiber. And here's the funny thing about fiber is when we think about fiber, we think about, you know, Metamucil or maybe psyllium, or we think about grains, right? We think about all bran and things like that. You know what the greatest thing is for my clients when we are working on getting them pooping normally is just fruit and veggies. And I don't want to do all kinds of research into, well, which ones have the most fiber, and What do you enjoy? We want to make this sustainable long term. If we start disciplining ourselves, going, you know what, I really have to start pooping more. I'm going to, eat a ton of prunes. I'm going to eat a ton of oranges. Maybe you don't like oranges. This is not going to be sustainable long term. Don't worry about it. The amount of water, hydration that is in fruits and vegetables and the amount of naturally occurring fiber is all we need. I could go on for hours about all the other benefits that you get from fruits and veggies. But the coolest thing I've ever done, and what my clients have consistently said makes the biggest difference in their lives, is what I call my emergency kits. Once or twice a week, I take out a whole whack of fruits and veggies, all my favorite ones, and I line them, I wash everything, I line them up, and I chop like crazy, and I make kits. I do 4 to 5 days of containers, and I fill them with fruits and vegetables. You know what's awesome that we don't think about? Fruits and vegetables can go in the same container. We have this idea like, oh, this would be apple slices and, strawberries over here, and this would be cucumbers and carrots over here. Throw them in the same container. They can touch, right? And when they are chopped and ready, and we go, I need a little, it's like, 11 a.m. I'm not ready for lunch yet, but I just need a little something, or it's 3 p.m. and I'm starting to get that kind of afternoon hangry. I'm kind of tired and I just need a little something. If you've already cut it, you will eat it. I can almost promise you that. You have to make it easy for yourself. Do it all at once. And I'm going to pop my photo into the chat there of my emergency kit, so you can see what it looks like. I go to Walmart and I buy they're called Lock and Lock is the brand name. It's my favorite brand name for containers. They're glass containers, so you don't have to worry about leaching of plastic and this kind of thing, but they have plastic lids and they snap down so they're airtight. My fruits and veggies, once they're cut, stay fresh in there 5 days. Amazing. Yeah. And I mix everything up with my fruits and vegetables. So we're talking about getting in a ton of fiber and hydration there. And then hydration. Who feels like they probably don't drink enough water? Yeah, drink enough. I have to qualify. I don't mean wine. I'm sure we all feel like we drink enough of, or whatever our go-to is. Yeah, it's really hard to remember to stay hydrated. And again, it's one of these things, I don't want to put another should on you. You have enough shoulds in your life. But if we understand the rationale behind it, the education behind what drinking the water does for us, that can be motivating. So I told you about lubricating your food so that you can expel your toxins, right? And cleanse your body of what it's trying to get rid of. Oh man, and mask wearing. Oh, I have clients who are teachers and who are doctors, and they're like, do you know the 12-step process I have to do if I want to have a sip of water, right? Because then I've touched my mask, or I have to replace my mask, and then I have to disinfect my whole body before I'm allowed to go near anybody. It's what a deterrent. I hear you. I have not found a solution yet for this, and it makes me so sad. And there are so many things. I'm like, what if you have a straw? They're like, we can't use a straw. Are you kidding? That's out with germs landing on it. And I'm like, oh God, I'm thinking about those hydration backpacks, with a little sucky. They're like, we're not allowed. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I wish I knew. And I'm sorry. I'm really, it's like, oh, you finally get your lunch break and you guzzle, a liter of water, and you try to shove some food in your mouth, and then you've got, tummy problems because you're sloshing around from everything in there at once. That's rough. It's rough. And as soon as I know, I'm going to post it all over Facebook and Instagram. Here's the solution. However, in the meantime, having enough water helps your stools be hydrated. The other thing is people are fatigued, right? People are tired. Are you feeling tired? Are you finding that 2 p.m. oh my God, I could have a nap under my desk right now. People are really tired. And one of the greatest things that you can do to just improve your energy is to stay hydrated. And here's why. It doesn't matter how gorgeously you eat. If you are not optimally hydrated, you will be tired. You won't get the energy from your food. Carbohydrate is the body's preferred source of fuel. It is the most cleanly burning, most readily available source of fuel. So fruits and veggies, for example. But if we don't have enough water, that food cannot break down, right? In a process called hydrolysis, hydro meaning water, lysis meaning to cut. So in a process called hydrolysis, the water that we have breaks down the food and it can create energy for us, right? If we remember back to like grade 11 chemistry, ATP, right? Does that sound familiar, right? That's the body's source of energy. So if you're eating beautifully, but you don't have enough water in your body cannot use that food as fuel. So if you're feeling tired, step one, just get hydrated and see how that helps. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to move on to the lie. Carbs are bad for you. That's the lie. Okay. I lose my mind a little more each time I hear somebody saying the words, oh, I'm just going to cut out carbs. Cutting out carbs? What are you talking about? Lettuce is carb. Broccoli is carbohydrate, right? All those fruits and vegetables we were talking, those are carbohydrates. You know, I'm pretty sure nobody's going on like a broccoli-free diet. I understand what they're saying. I'm going to cut out the crappy carbs, you know, the carbs that have no nutrient value. We're talking about the potato chips. Suzanne, I see you laughing. Right? You know, we're talking about the white bread that does nothing for us except for make us feel really good for a moment, right? Gives us a nice hit of dopamine. It's like, oh, warm bread with butter, gorgeous, right? Makes us feel good in the moment, but there's no nutrient value in that. Yeah, I'm not alone. Right? Cutting out like beer or like wine and stuff. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, there's a cultural component to it. There's a social component to whatever. But when people say I'm cutting out carbs, I lose my mind a little bit, right? Absolutely, there is a place for diets like, you know, the keto diet, you know, it is not for the general public. I can say that as a professional, okay? It is really important to eat your carbohydrates. Choose the ones that are nutrient dense. So nutrient density refers to the amount of nutrients in a food in relation to how much energy it gives you. So if we think about something like Coca-Cola, right? There is a lot of energy, calories, right? I hate the word calories, but you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of energy that you can get from a Coca-Cola. What are the nutrients in a Coca-Cola? Pretty well zilch, right? Or if we look over here at like an apple, right? There's a moderate amount of energy available, but it is exploding with nutrients. This is the carbohydrate to choose, nutrient dense foods. So the next time you hear one of your friends saying, oh, I'm cutting out carbs, go like, oh yeah, you're off lettuce, are you? Just be a little bit sarcastic. So that's our two truths and a lie. When moving forward and thinking about integrating any of the changes that maybe resonated with you today, you know, not everything that I say is going to hit the mark for you. Please, like with anything in life, take what resonates and leave the rest. I hope that you found something that kind of struck a chord and went, yeah, I need more of that in my life. That feels good. That feels aligned. That feels right for me right now. That feels gentle. That feels sustainable. There's two questions I'd like to leave you with that you can use as a guiding light moving forward. Number one is, what can I do? things are not always going to be perfect, right? So sometimes I don't know, an example in my life would be like, I just dropped one kid off at the pool, and the other kid's got to go for like an orthodontist appointment, and it's like 6:40, and I don't even plan what's for dinner tonight. This is not perfect, right? Usually people would think, oh, I guess I'll just hit the McDonald's drive-through or whatever. It's like, okay, things aren't perfect, but what can I do? Okay, I can stop by the grocery store and pick up one of those like chickens, those pre-roasted chickens, and maybe like a bag of salad, that has the little packages of like pumpkin seeds and the salad dress. Is it perfect? No. But is it better? Is it empowering? It's not perfect, but it's what I can do right now. So when you're thinking about things, say, okay, no, I can't go, to my yoga class. So I better just go sit and watch Netflix tonight? No. I can ask myself the empowering question. This is not perfect, but what can I do? Yeah. It's that mindset shift. And the other question that I find really helps to guide me, because it dispels any of the external validation that I feel like I've lived my life trying to find and seek. I ask, what can I do to make me really proud of myself right now? Me. Not what would my mom think? What are my friends doing? What's that cute girl on social media who I follow telling me I should be doing right now? What would make me really proud of myself right now? That's sustainable. That's aligned. That's the type of cleansing that we're talking about. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Well, if anybody has any questions, I'm fully open.
We have about 1 minute before the next session starts. So what I would do is I would encourage people to get in touch with you if that's possible. Alison, maybe you can tell us how people can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Email is best. So it's, I can type it in the chat here, Alison at strivenutrition.ca. And I will absolutely personally answer any question that comes in to the best of my ability. MUT. I can't type and talk at the same time. Look at that, lo and behold. But I've really enjoyed being here with you today. Thank you for all the people who smile and nod when I chat. That's so encouraging as a speaker. So as you go into your other sessions, just know it really feels good, the smiling and the nodding or the thumbs up.
Well, thank you, Alison. That was great. And your energy is infectious. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone who attended. Thanks, and the next session coming up is right now, day to night skincare routine. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Beautiful. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.